Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. First episode of 2022. Some changes for the podcast for this year. I know a lot of people aren't fans of the ad reads. Well, guess what? This episode and every episode this year is brought to you by Black Rifle Coffee. So if you were tired of those long ad reads in the beginning, worry no more. We have one sponsor for the entire year, which is going to make it an awesome user experience. And I'm not going to go deep onto an ad read for today. What I'm going to say is go to blackriflecoffee.com and check out what they have to offer. If you want to support an amazing brand that is founded, run, and has plans for the future by amazing individuals, then I highly recommend you check them out. Variety of roasts. You could do the ECS Club where Evan's picking them directly. We'll get into that throughout the year. But for today, let's just get right into my guest. Episode 214 is with Josh Bridges, ex-former Navy SEAL was what I was about to say. I think it's just former Navy SEAL. I'm a very high-level CrossFit athlete, the founder of the Good Dudes Coffee Company. Can't think of a better way to kick off 2022. And, of course, there has to be some negative with the positive. Every once in a while, there's a glitch with the audio file, which happened with this recording, but I was able to recover it, had to put it through some filters, so it doesn't sound as good as most people are going to be used to. It doesn't sound as good as this intro right now does, but I've got some solutions for having backups in the future. You can totally hear what we're saying. It's definitely worthwhile. Just bear with me on the audio experience for today's episode. Episode 214 with Josh Bridges. Here we go.
Okay, got the red smoke. Gun run, north and south, west of the smoke, west of the smoke. Okay, copy, west of the smoke. I'm looking at danger close now. Come on with it, baby, give it to me, I need it. You're cleared hot. Copy, cleared hot.
Before we go, do you need or want a booster seat?
I don't know. I don't get the joke. I don't get the reference.
Oh, you do, because I tell everybody you're the shortest fucking SEAL I've ever met in my life.
I know you do. I was actually on Kelsey's? Yeah.
She texted me afterwards. She was like, "Yeah, he had nice things to say about you, but."
Dude, when people started tagging me in that podcast, what you were saying, I was dying.
Oh, that's right. I did mention that in the original one when she was here.
Yeah.
I had forgotten about that.
Yeah.
I'll be honest. I say it enough that I forget where it actually...
Fair enough. At least you're talking about me. I appreciate it. That means I'm on your mind.
And what's interesting, I think Nick Norris is shorter than you.
We're like right there. And so funny.
Do you know?
Funny that you bring him up because I talked to him yesterday. I talked to him and I was like, he's like, oh, make sure that you give him some shit for me. I'm like, anything particular? And he's like, no, just
Yeah, because he's got nothing.
He's going into gay porn. It's not a big deal.
He looks up to me, literally.
We all do.
Do you know any team guys that were shorter than you? I mean, let's be honest. I wasn't paying attention to it too much, but I feel like you...
Man, I might have been right there. I was definitely the shortest guy to finish my buds class. I think when we started, when we were like lining up, height line.
Yeah.
There were a few guys to my left, but
how easy is that for you? You're like, I know I'm not in the middle.
I'll just go over yeah. It wasn't that difficult. There weren't too many people to my left, but there were a couple.
I feel like buds would be actually an advantage for somebody your size. I actually think being a team guy is an advantage for somebody your size.
And how? In what way?
So I'll use a guy that we both know, Roy. All right, and we'll leave it at that because I don't know.
Big boy,
and I don't know where he's at, so we'll leave it at that. But he was in your class, right?
No, he was not. He was in 6'4", 6'5".
Okay,
right before me.
But we both know him. Mm-hmm. We both know he's not tiny.
No, he's not a small man.
So then throw his gear on him.
Right.
Probably going to be a belt-fed weapon of some kind.
At least for the first year.
For sure.
Yeah.
And then let's say something catastrophic happens, and then we have to carry him and his shit.
Right.
That's a four-man job.
That's a big boy.
I love these movie things where they do like a combat roll and it's up on your shoulder and you're still like in a gunfight and doing shit. It's like, it's going to take 6 dudes to solve this problem. They're all going to be fucking exhausted, yes. And you're going to be moving at less than 1 mile per hour.
Way less. Way less. You're going to be taking breaks every 100, 200 feet.
Yeah.
I mean, there was a time where this was a Jocko workup, You know, we all remember those.
So easy.
Very super easy. I mean, I took a lot of naps. Yeah. I remembered a lot of napping.
Cash, if you will.
And man, we were doing the Mogadishu Mile, they called it, where every person in the platoon was downed except for maybe like 3 guys. I happened to be one that they just didn't walk by and go, "You're down."
Yeah.
You know, it wasn't anything I was doing. And I remember having at least six M4s on me and carrying dudes for a couple miles, dropping a guy off and going back to get the other guy. And man, like when you had to pick up those big boys, I mean, they were hopping up and hopping on your shoulders. But I can only imagine what it'd be like actually picking up a dude. Yeah, a dude that literally laid there and didn't, you know.
What would you estimate the value of the equipment lost on those Mogadishu miles? I mean,
more than I should care.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. I mean, shit, pockets are getting ripped open.
Oh,
I mean,
how many times do we have to comb the fucking island for lasers or?
Bro, I was in Australia one time, way pre 9/11, and I think it was we were doing it was either a rappel or a fast rope out of a 60 off the carrier, because we were doing like the carrier would be over there and they would come do cast runs, close air support, and I was a JTAC at the time, so I was doing the control, but I'm pretty sure we either fast roped in or rappelled in, and I think it was either my PEC 2 that I started the day with and didn't end. Didn't
end. The size of his laptop.
I didn't end the day with it. We fucking walked every inch of that, and it was like Bermuda grass, like thick, like waist high. We're down in there. It's like I might as well been looking for like a gold that was left behind. Where like, you know, brushes, like you're uncovering a T-Rex, and that was just that. Those evolutions where people are down and you're dragging them, you could, I mean, God, if you were an enemy force, you could just like, oh, we'll just follow this battery and that magazine, and there's a piece of a weapon, and
there's a boot. I don't know, you know, gloves. Oh man, gloves. I don't know how many gloves you just like fall out of your pockets. The maps you have in your pocket, you know, whatever, all the bullshit.
It's terrible.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, but I mean, that being your size overseas, I mean, I was not optimally designed to go through those doors.
That's true. What are you, 6'1", 6'2"?
6 foot even, man. It's tough. It's probably tough to judge from the angle you're looking at it.
You know, when you're looking uphill, it always is a little off, right? Looking downhill is a little easier.
Yeah, it's a false summit. It happens. No, I mean, I'm right at 6 foot, but God, I've hit my head so many times trying to go full speed, badass, and just wham! Whereas you could just go full sprint.
I'm going through a lot of doors pretty easily.
And if you were to go down, I'd be like, fuck it, just leave him. You know, it's like,
yeah. He's not even a real size person. He's a fun size.
Yeah,
just let him go. Let him go.
We'll be all right with that, Josh.
Well, yeah, we'll find another guy.
Somebody mark this position. We'll remember him. My friend.
Write a note. I'll text his mom. That'd be good.
Yeah. Dude, what have you been up to? I'm trying to think the last time we saw each other was when I came to your house in San Diego.
Yeah, that was, God, 3-4 years ago?
Was it that? It can't have been that long.
No, it has to have been. When did you move up here?
Oh, man. Over 4 years.
Yeah. It was before that. No, maybe you did come back down.
I think I came back down.
Yeah,
I was on a trip doing something else.
Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah.
You get requested often as a guest. It usually goes something like this. Hey, Andy, I've been listening to your podcast forever. It'd be great if you had Josh Bridges on.
Been on too.
And I write back, I'm like, hey, fuckface. He was the second guest.
I was gonna say, yeah, I was like the first or second guest on your show.
You were the second guest.
I remember you reached out and be like, hey, I'm gonna start a podcast. Yeah, man. You want to come on?
We did it at a hotel room in, I think, Columbus, Ohio. No, it was a CrossFit event though. You were there.
It was what the fuck was it?
It was like one of those normal. It had to have been a regional event because it was I don't think you were competing. You were there just like show ponying your quads.
Yeah. Thanks for noticing.
Fucking walking around like fucking.
Just trying to be jacked
just Dan Bailey, just fucking looking like neck. I don't have one.
I'm not that big. I'm not definitely.
Who is though?
Yeah, nobody. Not his size.
Yeah, he won the genetic lottery.
He did. He did, man. Those biceps.
His triceps.
His arms. I know they're ridiculous. You're looking pretty jacked these days. You've been obviously getting after it.
I've been juicing.
Good for you.
Yeah, carrot and apple mostly.
I don't know if I believe you.
Actually, no. It's just I had my winter attire on.
Just thinking it up for the winter.
You know what's been interesting is I haven't been around a barbell in probably 2 years now, and my body has never felt better.
Bro, I haven't picked up a barbell. Well, that's not true. I back squat still. Back squatting and deadlifting. I do no Olympic weightlifting.
Really?
Almost none. Maybe some power cleans occasionally. I'll do a dumbbell snatch, but I'm not doing anything with the barbell really much either, other than back squat deadlift.
So I started doing jiu-jitsu about 3.5 years ago.
Yeah.
And when I first started, I was in that mentality of I still have to train hard every day and then I'll go to class.
Oh, yeah.
And my body was like,
And
yeah.
how old are you?
Me?
Yeah.
27.
I can see it.
Yeah.
I mean, you look it for sure.
Yeah, for sure. No, I'm about fucking 87 on the inside. But, right, like, there's great things that come from our old job. One of the terrible things is I guess I'll just grind myself into dust.
I got to run my dick in the dirt for a while.
Yeah, and then, if I feel bad about it, I'll just look at
and then
myself in the mirror and call myself a quitter.
And then I'm weak. I'm weak and pathetic. No, I agree, man. I know it's hard. It's hard to get out of that mindset. I was thinking that over here. I was like, man, like if I didn't get to work out this morning, you know, and I'm probably not going to work out much when I'm up here in Montana, and before I would lose my shit.
Yeah,
I would like literally
mentally come unwound,
lose my mind, and I would not be a good person to be around.
Were you like that before the teams?
Yes, because I started training CrossFit in 2005. And once I started doing that, that was when that mindset really kicked in.
Okay. So pre-2005, you had a probably what I'll describe as, and I'm not a professional, a more sane approach to exercise.
Slightly more sane.
Yeah.
Slightly, yeah.
People, well, and so I don't think we need to describe what CrossFit is. I think most people understand. Yeah. But what a lot of people may not understand is the competitive nature associated with that.
Yeah. And it happened very early for me when CrossFit wasn't a sport.
Yeah.
You know,
but it's always a sport if there's somebody else in the gym working out.
100%. 100%.
Or dude in your garage, or just some other motherfucker you know who's doing the same workout as you. It's the Olympics.
It's exactly. Fuck yeah. I remember doing it 2005 and I was in St. Louis, you know, preparing to try to go into the military or whatever, and we were at some like Wash U University's gym, and me and a buddy who showed me CrossFit, and we would go at it, you know, like Cindy for time, you know, and just couldn't walk for 4 days afterwards from air squats,
which is super healthy.
Super healthy, obviously. Look at me now. My elbows don't bend, my knees don't bend. I'm good.
Yeah. Well, you also took it to an expression that I don't think. I mean, maybe a few hundred people on planet Earth understand the exertion level that you were competing at and doing it while you were active duty, which is still, looking back, a little bit insane.
It was super. I look back on that first year in 2011, and at the time it was nothing. It was just what I did, right?
How old were you in 2011?
Exactly. I was.
You had to have been maybe
24.
I was going to say
25.
30s at oldest.
Yeah, I was young.
Yeah.
No. 2011. Hold on. I was.
Carry the one.
I know I can't. I'm like 28. 28.
All right. You can use your fingers.
I know. I don't have that many.
I have a calculator.
I don't have that many.
I have a calculator after my
that would have really helped. That wouldn't sound so dumb. No, yeah. So I was like 28, but I mean, I would, you know, we'd go to land warfare, and we'd be doing IADs in the middle of the day, and on our little 2-hour breaks where everyone else is going to take a nap or eating food, I literally would go into the gym and work out. And it was, I look back on it and I'm like, I don't know how I was doing that.
Because you were in your 20s.
Exactly. Yeah. I was 28 and I was good to go. I was fired up.
Yeah. And then you hit your 30s. You hit 38.
The early 30s actually was probably the best shape I'd ever been in.
I felt like I was
32.
Going from 4th to 5th gear in my early 30s.
Yeah. Like real good.
Yeah.
And I see some of these CrossFit athletes that are like retiring at like 32 and 33. And I'm like, man.
They may have started when they were about 14, 15, 16, though.
You could be right. I was 23 when I started.
20, I mean, that's...
22.
But imagine, though, and so I don't pay much attention to the CrossFit world anymore.
Right. You're deep in it.
I'm aware that it exists. You know as well as I do. Competitive exercise has never been my jam. I'm like, sweet, that's awesome. I'll go eat a fucking churro. But while you exercise, I'll eat it in front of you because I know that you want it.
And then you'll still go do it.
Yeah.
You do, yeah.
Quietly, though. And I'll shame myself and compare myself to the world-class athletes and question my existence on Earth and why I can't beat them. So I just cheat. It's fine. But when I was leaving, even working for CrossFit, they were building up that teams competition.
Yeah.
I think if you start in your early teens, I mean, maybe late 30s is as best as you can hope for. And then there's mileage on the body.
We're gonna see. We're gonna see real quick because so you haven't paid attention
at
right?
all.
There are teen girls now who are like 17 years old that are going to the CrossFit Games and placing in the top 10. 3 of them currently. You have Justin Medeiros, who just won the CrossFit Games last year.
Yep.
He started when he was in his teens.
Is he an Aussie?
No, he's a California boy.
So basically the same thing.
Same. Yeah.
I don't really understand geography incredibly well, but I believe Australia is just on the southern border of California.
Yeah.
So
I think it's the 51st state. Yes.
How do you compete with that?
It's crazy, man. And what they're doing, I looked at it when I was kind of coming up, and they started talking about how, like, oh, would you get your kids into CrossFit? I'm like, hell no, I wouldn't get my kids into CrossFit.
Well, CrossFit or the CrossFit?
I would use the ideology, of CrossFit
Yeah.
to get my kids fit for sports, for sure, because I believe in it wholeheartedly. But man, to like put my kid into a sport where all you do is crush your body over and over and over again, and you really can't take that much downtime, because all you have to do is just, instead of doing running today, we'll do rowing, or instead of lifting weights today, we're just going to do conditioning. You can always change it, right? So there's no downtime for CrossFit. At least that's how I felt. I'm like, these kids' bodies aren't going to last.
I said it from not from the beginning, but early on, I thought one of the biggest misconceptions that people had, and probably still have, is confusing the competitive world, which you were involved in, with the methodology.
100%.
Like when I owned the CrossFit gym in Coronado, I really could give 2 shits about anybody being competitive. Most of the clients, there was probably about 50-50. 50 were the guys who either were team guys or were in the military. And the other 50% were their wives who weren't going to the CrossFit Games. They were legitimately there for like health and wellness.
Yeah.
And I would involve and recommend anybody involve, and just about everybody, unless you have a substantial disability, and then just work around it. In that ecosystem, the competitive aspect of CrossFit is probably the best advertising and the worst advertising that the overall program has itself.
Yeah.
Because people see it on ESPN, they're like, it's a hard pass. That's a hard pass.
Right. But I think you can go to say that about any sport though, really, right? When you're looking at the top tier of any sport, it can be overwhelming. Like, wow, like that's what you have to do this? Like, this doesn't make any sense. I'm never going to be in that place. So you can't look at it like, oh, these like that's what I have to do to go do this sport or to do CrossFit,
Well, the only difference I would say is that for the people who enter the competitive sphere, the volume with which they're training is so astronomically higher than that average cohort that's just health and wellness.
Yeah.
Like you should be able to, if you want to be healthy and look good naked, A, don't eat like a fucking garbage disposal.
100%.
And B,
nutrition is huge.
And B, you should be able to get it done in an hour and enjoy the other 23 hours of your day.
It doesn't even take an hour. I mean, you could get a great workout in 30 minutes with, especially CrossFit style.
I mean, you can. I like to go with, not very randomized, functional, but moderate intensity.
If you saw my workouts now, you'd understand. Yeah, like it's been crazy. It's been the one of the hardest things for me to adjust. Right, like last time I competed was 18. I had 19 was all basically, hey, I'm gonna get knee surgery, I'm gonna get elbow surgery, and then maybe see if I can make another run.
Yeah, you went to the auto shop.
Yeah, I went. Yeah, I was like, okay,
they fully like ratcheted up the door, gurneyed you in.
Yeah.
We'll be back in a little bit.
Let's take the duct tape off all these parts and the popsicle sticks you're holding yourself together with, and let's actually see if we can put you back together for a touch. And knee is doing really great, and elbow elbow surgery didn't do anything, but man, like now that I kind of know, like, okay, because I came back from it, rehabbed it all, got it back, and I started to push volume again. And like, okay, let's push volume and see if I can actually touch these things I need to be able to touch.
Describe volume.
Volume is
for you. Like
volume was.
When you say you push, what was your peak volume when you were just in the mix of it? Because this will give somebody an idea of the difference between good nutrition in less than an hour a day to what you would need to do to compete. So go ahead.
CrossFit Games volume. Let's go. Here we go. I'd wake up in the morning. I'd start off with conditioning of some sort, about an hour of conditioning, whether it been a monostructural workout, so a session of rowing, a session of biking, a session of running, or I'd go into just like lightweight metabolic conditioning for CrossFit, right? So now I'm doing pull-ups, push-ups, maybe light thrusters, something like that. And that's about an hour, right? And I'm getting in one nice hour-long session, not a continuous workouts, but like probably broken down into 2 different workouts, or one big long monostructural session. I'd go in, I'd eat my breakfast, I'd have coffee, I'd come back out, and I would do about an hour and a half of strength and conditioning. And so now it'd either be Olympic weightlifting, and then accessory work of Olympic weightlifting after that, and then and then I would do another conditioning piece, immediately following that strength and conditioning.
Yeah, so we're at 10 a.m. now.
Yeah, we're about 10 a.m., 11 a.m. I'd go in, I'd have my lunch, at that point in my life, I was eating whatever the fuck I wanted because it didn't matter.
Yeah, you had an engine that you could fuel. I mean,
it did. I couldn't.
So fucking bright.
I couldn't eat healthy, to be honest, like that healthy, because I didn't have the time to cook that food. I'm such a horrible food prepper. I never like a lot of people take their whole rest day to just food prep for the whole week. Yeah. I was like, no, I think I'll do the burrito shop down the street. I'll do burgers for dinner, and then I'll eat a little bit of healthy food in there somewhere.
Yeah.
So
sweet potato pops. It's fine.
Yeah.
You know,
right.
They're not regular fries. They're the little sweet potato, like little cylindrical things. They're delightful and healthy, I think.
Yeah. So I'm finishing my strength conditioning with one metabolic conditioning, one CrossFit style workout, probably using whatever strength I worked on that day in the conditioning piece. I would go eat lunch, take a little break. I'd take about that was actually my longest break. I would typically be in the house from about 12:30 to maybe 2:30, and then I'd be back out. I would hit then I would hit the full monostructural piece. So that was definitely a row session that is about an hour long, or a swim session about an hour long, or a running session that was about an hour long. And then I'd go have dinner, and if I felt really fired up that day, I'd go do one more conditioning, one more CrossFit style workout after that. I mean, it was all day and never stopping.
That's a full-time
and then you had to recover. And then you had to stretch. You had to do ice baths. You had to do your compression. You had to do your stretching, and you had to eat. And then you had to, I mean, it was an 8-hour job every day. And I, to be honest.
How many days a week?
Bro.
9?
Yeah. How many days are in a month? I don't know. There was a time I remember during that 14, 15, 16, where I would look at my workout calendar, and I hadn't taken a rest day, and all of a sudden, and it was really easy to tell that I had overtrained. My numbers would start to decrease. My weights would start to get smaller, and I'd be like, what the fuck is wrong with me? Start to obviously go in deep in the mental part of it and say, you're a big pussy. Wow, you're weak.
Which is another sign of overtraining.
Yeah.
Like, emotionally, the fucking facade is ripping off the
right.
house.
I am a loser. Why do I even do this anymore?
I'm such a fan of negative self-talk.
Oh, man. If you should have been around me a lot, then we'd be really, It was
well,
good.
I would just do negative external talk with you. That's how we met in the first place anyway.
Exactly. So. It was a good time. Bud's instructor, second phase, Andy Stump, the best trainer ever, because he would do it all with a smile on your face. Yeah. You weren't like the real prick one,
I never yelled a single time when I was at Bud's.
Yeah, your voice might have changed, but that was just to make sure we hear you.
Yeah. If you talk quietly, they have to listen.
I remember doing Smurf jacks, with you hosing me off on that grinder, that second phase grinder, and you're like, this is going to hurt you a lot more than it's going to hurt me.
You're welcome. I forged you into the CrossFit athlete.
Into the man I am today. Thank you. I owe you a lot.
Fuck, that volume is insane.
It really was.
Yeah. So, dude, 3.5 years ago, right? I was more along the lines of just do an hour a day and lie to myself and say my nutrition was pretty good.
Yeah.
Which is what most people do. They're like, I totally eat good. Like, do a food log. They're like, fuck all that noise. I don't actually want to know what I eat. I just feel like I eat really good.
I did that once. I'll tell your story. I'll tell that story later. Yeah, I did that food log once, and I was like, wow, I eat like a 12-year-old that doesn't have parents.
It's rough when you commit it to black and white, and you have to sit there and look at it.
Read it. Oh.
But, dude, so jiu-jitsu was brand, and you had a wrestling background anyway, right? So you understand. I had no background in trying to just choke another dude.
Combat sports, yeah.
Holy shit, it's exhausting, right? So what I'd tell myself is, well, I need to relax. So what I'll do is I'll do the workout before going to class, and that way I'll just be tired. Which, of course, didn't do shit because I still just went hard in the paint and just put myself deeper into the grave, which is what I was slowly working myself towards. But I recognized I couldn't do it anymore because I got to a point where I could not be not sore.
Right.
And I started getting sick. Like I could just tell I was tapping my body out. And so I was like, you know what? I'm just going to commit to just doing a year of jiu-jitsu and not really fuck around with the weights. And dude, my body feels so much better. That was over a year ago.
So I did the whole boxing thing, the whole boxing experience, which was really cool. Really
yeah,
fun.
why didn't Dave fight you?
I think you know why.
I don't know why.
Because he said he wouldn't take his shirt off when we got into the ring.
Are you serious?
No, it was a joke. But
you could have let him wear a rash guard.
I know. Yeah, you got some right.
It says just like on the rash guard, I refuse to take my shirt off.
No, he. So I started going into a boxing gym just because I kind of realized, hey, I'm not going to be training as much. I want to do something else. I wanted to, and I always wanted to learn how to strike.
Yeah.
I thought striking was really cool, and so I found a boxing gym.
Don't do that, dude. Just be a game time player, like most people are.
Exactly.
Like,
let's go to the streets.
I don't fucking train. I fight in the street.
I'm gonna get drunk and shit faced, go into a bar and start grabbing asses.
Yeah. And my first move will be I'll rip my shirt off to show people that I'm really, really into violence.
Let's do this.
I had no understanding until, again, like you start legitimately trying to break people's bones and choke them. Mm-hmm. There's what you think. And here's another funny one. I'm sure you probably found this in the boxing gym. People are like, oh, dude, don't do any of that SEAL stuff. All right, like that super secret shit. I know you can kill somebody with your pinky, but
my favorite.
Yeah, don't do that in here. And I'm like, first off, that 140-pound accountant just fucked my shit up over there. I don't know if you guys saw that, but
exactly.
Yeah, this the prisoner detainment stuff, which was all that I got, other than being struck in the head by this just fraud of a fucking defensive tactics dude. like none of that shit is applicable.
Well, first of all, you got to keep perpetuating. Be like, yeah, you're right. I won't do that. I'll hold that off.
Yeah,
there.
Unless I flip the switch, and in which case, like, you're gonna need everybody here to.
Unless they really fuck up, and then it's coming out, boys.
And if it comes out of the cage, good luck putting it back in. No, it's like,
dude. I went to the boxing gym. The first person I sparred was a girl, and I'm like,
punched you right in the face.
And thank God, I literally got out of the ring and I go, "Thank you for not knocking me out." That's literally like my first words out of my mouth. Thank you for not knocking me out because I know you could have.
Oh God, it's so good.
Yeah, it's an incredible to dive into those sports like jiu-jitsu and boxing and actually see like the skill level that it takes to do it,
God.
And then realize like, man, I thought I was kind of tough. And you're not fucking tough at all.
Yeah.
Like not even a little bit.
I know you and I can tolerate probably more pain than most people, but people can out-technique that fucking pain threshold.
All day long.
All day long.
Yeah.
They're like, oh yeah, cool. If you're a fullback and you just run straight ahead, you're unstoppable. But bitch, I just took one step to the right and fucking punched you right in the ear.
Right, exactly. I mean, these kids, I go to these boxing gyms and these kids are 112 pounds. And I'm looking at it, I'm like, dude, you need to eat a cheeseburger and squat, and then we'll talk. And I would watch him, and I'm like, that dude would hit me 50 times before I even knew what happened.
Yeah, you
can't even think to throw.
You can't even see their hands moving.
No, it's crazy. It's in the skill, exactly the forward back movement, watching the shoulders, all that. I mean, it was impressive, and I loved every second of it, and it was a great time and a great experience.
So where did this? Because I did actually see online. I don't know if it was Dave calling you out or you calling
We
him
were
out.
doing, it was both little. So
where did this come from? Because I know he's a boxing fan. I know he had that guy who would work out in his the Ghost. Yeah.
So I like I said, someone reached out to me, and the lady who basically got me to go into the gym. She's like, hey, she was watching. Her boyfriend was a CrossFit guy, and so he was watching one of the documentaries that I was in, and it literally said underneath La Mesa, California. Which La Mesa is like a suburb of San Diego, and she lived in La Mesa, and she's like, oh, that guy fucking lives over here. She's like, I'm gonna reach out to him and see if he wants to learn how to box. And it was like, just so happened I was trying to. I'd actually been reaching out to Tony Blauer and being like, hey man, I knew he was into striking or whatever, so I just kind of wanted to I just wanted to learn how to do it.
Yeah.
And so anyway, so she reached out, and I started going into the gym strictly for fun. Never thinking in a million years that I would ever actually even attempt to box in a sanctioned match or whatever the fuck you want to call it. I don't think it was sanctioned, but it was something.
It happened.
It was
sanctioned enough.
We flew over to Dubai and we fought in a ring.
We're talking about that for sure.
That was an experience. So I started going to the gym and then obviously Dave would post every once in a while his stupid little fucking speed bag thing.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, I gotta chirp at this guy now that I'm a boxer. Obviously, I went to the gym twice now.
For sure.
Professional.
And obviously downloaded the entire Tybo
series.
Yes. It's just playing on the TV in the background, just like ambiance. You're just learning, you're like, ha, ha, ha.
All day long. The rabbit holes that I would go down online with boxing was incredible. But yeah, so me and Dave started chirping at each other. And then my manager comes at me and he goes, dude, we're going to try to get you on a card. And I was like, shut the fuck up. That was my response. Shut the fuck up. Like, I'm going into a boxing gym to work out, have fun, and learn.
And maybe find something new that you could be passionate about.
Yeah, exactly. I'm 37 at this time. I'm 37 years old. I'm like, I'm not fucking looking to go become an actual boxer, and it would be a tough fucking job to make a living with. I'll tell you that, because where I was going with this, my body feels so I stopped. Once I knew I had a fight, me and Hefner were gonna fight. I was like, my coach kept telling me, she's like, you have to fucking stop lifting weights. Like, it is just hurting you because you're stiff and you're slow and you're not as quick and agile. I'll tell you what, man, I stopped lifting weights for about 5 months and my body, like you just said, my body never felt better. Like, I felt like an athlete again. And that felt really good. It felt awesome. The only thing I would do it once a week, I would squat, and I wouldn't go that heavy. But
that's one thing I need to add back in. So there are some asymmetries that I found with jiu-jitsu. It's very pull-centric as opposed to push. Actually, if you are pushing and extending your arm, you're probably about to get your shit fucked up. Somebody be like, oh, I'll take that. Like,
give it back.
Yeah. So there is that. There certainly is a core stability. Like, just from we lived around weight piles for a long period of time, and there's no way that you're going to erase that. So that core strength and the ability to have strong legs and be able to push people off is...
Strength will never be a weakness.
I don't know. I can't think of a negative or a downside to being strong.
Right.
I have yet to be able
Other than maybe being tight. A little bit tight. But there's ways to not be tight and still be strong.
I mean, I'm known for my natural flexibility. So
I can see it from here.
I don't even stretch. I don't even need to stretch.
Yeah,
Which Kelly Stratton and I have argued about many times. And
yes.
I would always...
What does he know, though?
I mean, some stuff, but not shit about being limber or
stretching.
stretching.
It's not like he's written books or anything.
Yeah. I would tell him, I'm like, listen, these cats on the savannah, these like jaguars and leopards, they're asleep in a tree and they see food and they go, bam! And they go get that shit. They're not doing a quad stretch. So I'm just going to be the leopard.
That's right. And
he's like, yeah, that's
not
cool.
Not the supple leopard.
They live for 6 years. So. But yeah, being strong. So I probably will add in squats just because I think we can both agree it's fucking amazing for your body. Even
I love squatting,
endocrine level, like beyond just the strength of what it does.
Hormones and shit. Yeah, it's exactly. I
think power clean. I think I'm going to add in some version of a dynamic hip.
I think if I was going to do 2 movements, so I don't do all CrossFit movements anymore. I'm not doing...
Well, be careful because they claim all movements.
Fact. Yeah. Well, I'm just saying I don't do all of them anymore.
Okay.
Right. So I definitely started to alleviate a lot. I don't do pistols. Like, what the fuck? Why am I going to subject myself?
I never did pistols.
There's risk versus reward, right?
Yeah.
Like, dude, people would come over to my house when I was training for competition stuff, and they'd be like, "Let's do some pistols." Like they're like, they'd be doing
pistols and one-legged squat for people.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, one-legged squat where you like put your other leg up in the air in front of you, and you can compromise your knee pretty easily in that scenario. And there's a lot of
a pretty deep flexion.
Yeah, there's a lot of other things that you can do when you think about what you're actually trying to do with the pistol, right? You're trying to strengthen your quad and your glute, most likely, right? Maybe a little bit of hamstring, but for the most part, and maybe a little bit of balance. There are not 1,000, but a lot of different movements that you could do that have a lot less risk, where you could possibly put yourself into a compromised position because maybe you don't have the strength to do that pistol yet, or maybe
so you bounce,
or maybe you get slightly off balanced, because you don't have that exact balance in there, right? No. And so there's just other things that you can do, and so like those movements where a little bit higher risk where I can do other things like a lunge or like a Bulgarian split squat or like a box step up, where it's a lot easier and a lot less risky to put yourself in a compromised position.
I watch people get really tired doing high rep pistols, and you see them just almost like free falling to the bottom to get that rebound out. And I just imagine what the inside of their knee is just like, no.
And they're, what are you doing?
Yeah, I thought we were friends. It's like, don't worry, I'm going to switch to the other knee now. And just
like driving up to their toes or falling over and then hopping over to catch yourself. Like, yeah, it's just a risky movement.
What else you cut out?
I don't do strict handstand push-ups quite as often. And really because when you're doing high rep handstand push-ups, you're just going to bounce your head off the ground. And like in another sport, like in another thing that we did where we were carrying boats on our heads, like it's just not good on the neck. When I realized like my neck hurt, or my head hurt because I slammed it into the ground so many times, I'm like, man, why do I have a headache tonight? This is weird. Like I'm hydrated, like it's all because I did 100 handstand push-ups where I literally bounced my head off the ground as hard as I could so I could get the next rep.
Yeah. There's nothing better as a buds instructor than watching the boat bounce off people's heads. And you'll see somebody like they'll like ostrich up a little bit just as it's like whack.
Yeah.
And you can see. I actually sent a video to a buddy of mine. It's basically what it looks like. I'll send you this video after the podcast. It's a guy in a pool who stands up with another dude on his shoulders, and the guy's going to do a backflip. So he jumps straight up, emphasis on straight up. And so the guy below is like, you can tell he just stands up and fully relaxes his neck. And the man comes down on his head. And it's a like group text with a guy who used to live here, do jiu-jitsu, he's a doctor. And I just wrote, how dead is this person? And he just wrote back, his neck is so completely fucked with the skull emoticon, because it just, but the last you saw of it is like his face and the contortion of the neck as it was coming down. And that's what you would see as a buds instructor from the passenger seat of the F-350 with your coffee, as you guys
hurry up
with a bullhorn, like waiting on you guys.
Yeah,
really, let's pick up the pace, okay?
Those boats aren't that heavy, pal. We've all carried them.
I mean, that's true.
It's fact.
That is accurate. You would have said the same thing if you'd gone back as an instructor.
I know. Yeah, I was. I don't know if I would say fortunate that I didn't have to go do a buds instructor. I'm sure it was good. I'm sure you had a good time.
It was the best tour I had out of my entire career.
Really?
Yep.
Why? How so? Why?
Because you actually got to have some impact into the future of what the SEAL community was going to be.
Okay.
The interaction with the students. Well, I'll give you my theory on it, and like all theories, maybe they vary between people. I thought that my theory was that by being honest about my experience and being somebody who was approachable, who would actually answer questions, would be better, because the people that I put through training, in my mind, I figured I would end up working with in the future.
Yeah.
So at some point, they have to stop being treated as if they're not worthy of being there, and they have to start being treated as if it's a coworker that is obviously very early in the journey, but hey, maybe we should start teaching you now. Mm-hmm. So 2 years from now, or 3 years from now, like that OEF tour that I did with Team 3.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, like,
and like 40 of the guys are brand new.
Yeah.
It's not, hey.
And you put them all through buds.
Almost all of them.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not, hey guys, we're going to start learning right now on your first day overseas where there's consequences. They have, you know what I mean? At least a little bit of a dossier of experience. So,
yeah.
And again, that was my theory. You know as well, and I experienced this when I went through too. There were instructors that were open, and there were ones who like played the game of like too good, wanted to fucking yell, and they wanted to be a hammer for no reason other than they probably got hammered when they were a student. And I don't see the utility of that.
Yeah, there was definitely a lot of that, and well, not a lot, but there was some of
There's
it.
enough.
You know,
there's characters, and everybody
Right.
kind of falls into that.
Yeah.
The character that they want to.
And I think it goes to show that like who you are, like the relationships that you've probably kept from that student instructor role.
Yeah.
You know, because exactly, there's a lot of guys if they did have a podcast, I'd tell them to fuck off, and I would never go on it. You know.
Yeah.
Like no, man. Like,
No, I have great relationships with. I mean, trust me. There's some students. Well, the students that I've heard from that don't enjoy me so much also didn't graduate.
Yeah, exactly.
They had
Weird
They had poor experience in pool comp.
victims. They were all, hey, I had that experience too. It just happened to be on the first or second attempt. So I got to round 4, but I got through it on 4. It's no big deal.
I got through it on 3. I think most people.
Yeah, 3 is typical.
Yeah, that's what I think.
4, I tried, or 3, I tried to play the game on 3, And
So we're talking about a diving test at the end of a very long week in the pool, and you get 4 attempts at it. 2 per day. I think it's 2 Thursday, 2 Friday.
no, it's over the weekend. Well, at least ours was, because I remember going home being like, I'm fucked. Like my 3rd and 4th temp were on Monday. So we had
That's excellent.
Yeah, for some reason we
yeah.
did it Friday and then Monday for some reason. I don't know why.
Gives you a lot of time on the weekend.
I just wanted to really
just,
think and
just let it sit
and have that positive self-talk.
Yeah. So you get a performance role and a medical role at Buds. You can actually get one of each I would say you're a good student. This is my experience having sat through those boards. But you don't get 2 performance and you don't get 2 medical. I do know of people who have gotten 2 medical, but they were rare and extreme circumstances. But so if you fail this test 4 times, at best you're getting rolled back to the next class.
Yeah.
Just so people understand what we're talking
Yeah,
about.
exactly. Yeah. And so on round 3, which is like most people fail 1 and 2.
Yeah.
Most people, not all.
Most people's first test, and you are allotted by the paperwork 20 minutes. Their first test is usually between 3 minutes to 3 minutes and 5 seconds.
Exactly. Exactly.
And they come up like a fucking ballistic submarine.
Yeah, and then 3 they start to get it, and that was when most people pass. And then every once in a while you have an asshole like me and myself, and have to go to 4, or they fail 4. But on 3, I tried to play the game, right? And so there's something called the whammy knot. It's the very last knot that you have.
Though? Is there?
I'm not an instructor, so I don't know.
There is. It doesn't show up in doctoral.
Yeah.
I think they call it like a class 4 knot or something like that. It's untieable.
Yes.
That's the right way to say that? It's permanent.
It's not coming out.
Yeah.
And so I tried to play the game. I felt like I had been down there for the allotted time, and I was like, oh yeah, I passed everything. I did every procedure right. This has got to be the whammy knot. And so I grabbed my the regulator or whatever the fuck it's called, the tubes, and
yep.
I'm doing the fake pull. I'm like pretending like I'm pulling it as hard as I can, and I request my FSA, and I go to the top, and the instructor's like, thought that was a whammy knot, huh, pal? And he like literally grabs it, and he just like pops it right out, and I was like,
son of a bitch.
Yeah. So had to go to 4. So 4, I did the exact opposite. I
basically almost drug you out.
I was at the end they were I'm in there just tugging on this fucking thing at round 4 because I'm like, I'm not getting fucking hosed again.
Yeah. Pun intended.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And so I'm ripping on the hoses, and it was not coming out, and the instructor comes down, smashes my face to the ground, and brings me up. He's like, Bridges, you fucking passed.
The second day of pool comp is an interesting day. You can see the confidence or lack of uncertainty building for the 3rd one. Mm. But for the students that get to the 4th, as an instructor, those can be a wild ride, because that's what you get. You'll get the student who knows like this is it. Maybe they already had a performance role. Mm. They're like, all right, motherfucker, it's either right now or my dream is over, and they're gonna die underwater, and they will
100%.
I watched it happen. Like, it's an impressive thing to watch somebody go past all of those warning signs and basically just pass out underwater and just
lights go out night time.
Bro, it's amazing how well you can tell how close people are to going out too.
Yeah,
because you can just sit there and be like, oh, we got shallow water blackout in 5, 4, 3. But you would also and so to kind of describe for people listening, it's called the CTT, the Combat Training Tank, which I think they're building a new one now over on the
I have heard that
old Buds side. They're completely redoing the Buds compound.
Yeah, well, because they moved
all the teams down south to the Elephant Cage.
Yep.
So the students sit with their back to the pool, of course, so they only get to listen. And actually, they wouldn't get to see shit anyway because it's all underwater.
Yeah.
But it's more emotionally destructive, so therefore we, as instructors, put that into our favor. And they'll turn around and you have to do a check-in, and you stand up at the edge, and pool comp is a 1-to-1 test. And you just sit there like, for me, it's the test I gave was always the same. Like, once I understood how to administer the test, it would be very rare that I would deviate. So it was a low stress environment for me. It became very rote at the end. You're not paying attention because it's 1-to-1. And there's a medical officer on the deck. There's a corpsman on the deck. I mean, it's taken very seriously. But you can look at these students, go, oh, fuck. Because there were those, like, I guarantee you if I'd have seen you in your fourth test, I'm like, all right, this is going to be a wild ride, but I know how it's going to end. He's either going to die or pass.
Right.
And then there's the other ones who you can just tell are broken.
Yeah.
And they were the ones who would freak the fuck out and, like, plant their foot on the bottom of the pool and try to just rock it to the surface. Those got to be wild.
Yeah, that's crazy. Did
Yeah.
you actually have any of that happen?
Oh, for sure.
Man.
Yeah.
But nothing like
Were
ever.
there any foreign students in your class?
Of course. We had...
Let me just tell you how well they followed that instruction.
We only had one, I think. Oh, no. I think we had 3 make it through. We had 2 guys from Egypt. And then 1 rock seal from Korea.
There was a Greek student in one of the classes that I was instructing, and I pulled him for pool comp. It was his first, it was his 4th attempt. And I, told him to get in the water, and I actually pulled him up because there's a little ledge. A lot of the time as the instructor, you're standing on the ledge, the gap between the shallower section of the pool and the deeper, and it goes down at an angle. So I pulled him up, and I was like, hey man, like, we gotta stop fucking around. Like, you need to pass this, or I'm gonna send you back to your fucking country as a loser. And
I'm going to guess those were word for word.
100% word for word.
Yeah.
And he was like, I'm ready. I'm like, all right, cool. I'm going to start the stopwatch, put your shit on, and go down there. And I let him go back and forth for 20 minutes, and I didn't touch him.
He just crawled back and
Crawled
forth.
back and forth, and I pulled him up at the end of that. I was like, how was the test? And he looks at me. He looks at me, like, quietly for like 5 seconds, and then he goes, it was really difficult, but I think I did well.
That is so amazing.
And I looked at him and I go, get out of the pool and check in as a pass. I don't want to fucking see you anymore.
Oh my god.
Because the foreign students, bro, the rules are so different for them.
Right.
And their countries are paying to have them there.
Yes.
And I think, honestly, I think I like ate a sausage or something or a hot dog while he was crawling. I would just like put half of my mask in to try to make sure he was still down there and just pulled him out and moved on to the next
It was
one.
very difficult, but
That-
I think I did well.
Fucking scrambled his eggs. When I asked him that, you could tell he was just like,
How do I answer this question?
yeah. And I think he answered it well.
Yeah, I think he did too. I think he nailed it.
Yeah.
I think he passed. I think you're right. I think that was a good pass.
But man, it was great. The foreign students I had on the drown proofing, I had a foreign student completely come over the top of me as an instructor and try to use me as a life vest because he had already dropped his belt and I had put it over the back of his tanks.
Yeah.
And then he just held on to me and I just slowly exhaled as we went down underwater. He freaked the fuck out.
The tread. You're talking about the tread.
Yeah.
The tread. Oh my gosh,
Yep.
man, that evolution.
I found it to be very easy.
I
I played water polo for 40 years.
Yeah, there you go. Okay, that makes a lot of sense because you know the egg beater and just
You can't do it with fins on them.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So you're just
It was the tread is more about controlling your breathing and getting a big breath of air, and then just kind of leaning forward a little bit and just keeping your hands out of the water.
yeah.
So, okay, we probably should describe this. Tread,
Right.
180 scuba tanks on your back. You have to have a weight belt on. I don't remember the amount of weight in it,
Yeah.
but you have to tread water with your, like the crease just below your palm, like right at your wrist. Has to be out of the water for 5 minutes. And
And then you have to down and back, right? Or
yeah,
no?
but I think you get to use your hands for that.
Yeah.
I feel like the 5-minute mark is just for the hands out of the water.
Yeah, I think you're right. Yep.
And if you have an experience, or if you have experience in the water, it's not that bad.
No.
If you don't, it can be the most horrendous.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It's pain tolerance again, I think, right?
It
Because
is.
it's a fucking quad burner.
Bro,
I mean,
it's what I mean. Again, watching that as an instructor and
Yeah.
seeing bubbles come up, and when they pop, it's like because you can just hear the person dying.
I bet being an instructor in second phase would be a fun time, a good time.
But that, for me, to go back to why I think it was probably the most worthwhile tour after pool comp. I mean, your odds of becoming a team guy are like the high 90th percentile.
Well, yeah, that was
Unless you fuck up and blow somebody up or shoot them on the island, you're probably
Right.
going to be okay.
And I remember you saying that to our class. You were like, "Listen, after pool week, you're like, you are now. If you don't go and become a SEAL, you're now the anomaly, right?
Yeah,
you
you
will be
did
in a-
something catastrophically wrong.
Right. I mean, we did. We had a guy fucking. I think he dropped DOR'd after pool week.
It happens.
Yeah.
But I'd say one person a year will probably do that. There's been people who've quit in like late third phase.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oftentimes it's due to, or not due to, but around like a family like emergency or catastrophe. And it kind of, and I get that, it kind of just breaks them mentally. They're like, fuck
Yeah.
this, I'm out. However, I bet you, fuck man,
Yeah.
very high level of regret would be
Oh,
my guess for those
huge.
individuals. Because like, not only can you see the light at the end of the tunnel, you might have like a foot or two
Yeah.
into the ray of sunshine.
You start to feel not like a man, but like a young boy at that point. You know, in your journey.
Yeah.
You know, to like, oh, I'm a teen. Like you're going through puberty almost. You know, like, oh,
I mean, weird analogy.
I'm
but okay.
kind of becoming a man.
Weird
you know?
analogy, but all right.
Whatever.
Yeah.
I have young boys. I have an 11-year-old who's probably doing that right now.
I have an 18-year-old and a 16-year-old.
Yeah, they are men.
Yeah. They don't like to shower.
What's wrong with that?
Christmas is in a few days. And,
What's the longest you've ever gone without a shower?
70 plus days?
Yeah, exactly. What's wrong?
It was not awesome. I could literally set my camis up and let them go, and they would just sit on the edge.
When you can smell yourself as you sleep, it's never a good thing.
It was during the initial invasion of Iraq, and we were just running and gunning. And finally, I was with my team leader, and he found like this water truck on Baghdad International and like poured some water out, and it smelled slightly chlorinated. He's like, I don't fucking care. I'm going to get a bucket and dump this shit over me. And I waited like a day. I'm like, well, he doesn't seem to have any reactions on his skin.
He's still alive.
So I did the same thing, and then it started like this whole chain, but holy cow, man. Like,
I bet that was a game changer.
there's like millimeters of dirt just coming off and sweat. It was, yeah.
Yeah.
However, my boys have access to fucking showers 24/7.
Yeah. So they're probably not living hard.
Their stockings are full of soap.
Yeah.
I'm not joking. I actually filled them up yesterday.
Yeah, my 11-year-old would definitely not shower if I didn't make him.
It's weird.
Or brush his teeth.
When he finds women, that will change.
That's what I said. I go, dude, listen, man.
Yeah.
Like, you think these girls are, and he's very girl crazy already at 11 years old, which I'm like, I told them both, I go, hey, listen, it's okay to like girls. Like, that's good. That's a good thing, right? Like, you can like girls. I don't care. But right now we're going to focus on school and sports.
Yeah.
And that's it, right? You aren't meeting your wife here at 11 years old, so don't worry about it. Don't get too caught up in it.
Really good job. Really good job. Way to limit their life. How the fuck do you know they're not going to meet their wife at 11?
You're right. I guess I'm assuming, which is
just because it didn't
never
happen to you or
a
I.
good thing.
What sports do you have, man?
So my little guy, so they both wrestled from 3 to 3, and they both started wrestling when they were 3 and 5. And this year they broke my heart. They decided they didn't want to do it anymore. Which I'm not the kind of dad who wants to push his kids into anything.
Yep.
Like, I don't care. Like, if you don't want to do it, don't do it. Like, because it was my path and I enjoyed it and I got a lot out of it.
Yep.
It doesn't mean that you have to. But when they were 3 and 5, they wanted to do it. I didn't like, hey, we're gonna go wrestle. Like, all we did as when I would sit down is they would jump on me.
Yeah, you'd fuck each other up.
Yeah, we'd fucking be.
That is standard dad-kid behavior. I remember doing the exact same stuff with my dad.
Yeah, they were, just jumping on me. And so we would start to, when Jack my oldest hit 5, I was like, hey man, there's a sport called wrestling. And they both enjoyed it, for a few years, and they did it. I think my oldest did it till he was 9, and little guy did it for 4 years as well. And so the little guy, though, I hate that he quit because he was an animal. Like, he would fuck kids up.
Wrestlers are the worst. So again, just starting jiu-jitsu a few years ago, you get people who like are on their 5th day, but they have a wrestling background. I feel like they need to wear a sign.
Yeah, right.
Dude, I've never seen people who can turn their hips over so fast.
Man.
Or like, it's actually interesting because, as I'm sure you know, in jiu-jitsu, it's not a bad thing if you're on your back. You can fight from your back.
Yeah, that was what turned me off, dude. I didn't like it.
Really?
I was like, this is weird. That's where I want you.
Yeah, but dude, I can fuck people up from my back.
No, yeah, I'm sure you could.
That's what I'm saying. And so for wrestlers, I think it might take them a little bit to get that, because if you flip a wrestler over, it's like, bam, like, you just teleported, dude. How the fuck did you do that? But their top game is so good, and they're like the arm drags or the singles or it's like
probably takedowns, probably
it's insane. Yeah. But if you get them on their back, it's almost, I think it's almost a mental thing. You have to just understand that there's actually quite a bit of offense. You're just playing a different set of rules.
Yeah,
but they're a fucking nightmare, dude.
It's fun. Being a wrestler was fun. I enjoyed it. Like, I remember being in the teams in one of the platoons. This guy was a high school wrestler, and I wrestled in college a little bit. So, he thought he was tough, and he was a little bit bigger than me. And we were in a gym one time somewhere, and we were fucking around. And he took me down, and he thought he was really tough. And I was like, oh, okay, you got me. You took me down. Good job. And then we go overseas, and we had a wrestling mat on my second deployment, and he was like, hey man, you want to go wrestle? And I was like, yeah, let's go wrestle. and I proceeded to beat the shit out of him for about an hour, just rubbing his face in the mat. And
so for like in jiu-jitsu, that means you're like either choking them, armbar, submission. When you're talking about in wrestling, does that mean you have them
like,
pinned on their back?
Yeah, well, I would take him down. I could just control him.
Okay.
I was controlling him as much as I wanted to, so I was taking him down at will.
How do you win a wrestling match, like in competition?
Well, so you can either pin a guy, so that means you get them on their back and you press their shoulder blades to the mat for it's like 2 seconds.
Yeah,
basically.
both of them have to be touching.
Both have to be touching from the like lower shoulder to the top of the shoulder. Both sides have to be touching for about 1 to 2 seconds, and that's a pin. Or you can beat them by points. If you get up by 15 points, that's a tech.
Well, how do you get points in wrestling?
So there's takedowns. A takedown is 2 points.
Yep.
An escape, if you actually are on bottom and you escape, that's 1 point. If you get back exposure, you can get anywhere from 2 to 4 points now. They changed it. It was for me, it was 2 to 3 points. So if you had a guy on their back and so if I'm like this is going to be hard for people who are actually listening. But so like say this is my back, right? This is my back and this is my chest.
Yep.
If I start to break, once I break 90 and now my back is exposed to the mat,
yep,
you start getting back points. The referee's going to start counting. If he gets a 2 count, you get 2 points. If he gets
the person pushing that person over,
the person on top,
yeah,
the person pushing the person's back over.
Interesting.
So that's back exposure points, and so that is you can get anywhere from 2 to 4 points. And so if you get five swipes, that's 3 points, and then I think anything past 5, you get 4 points. They did the 4 points just came in a couple years ago, so I don't know that exact rule.
Huh.
So yeah, and then once you release them, coming back, so now they're belly down on the mat, you can just turn them over again. So if you're really good on top, you can get a ton of points.
You can just ring the cash register.
Yeah, or if you're really good on your feet, I was a feet wrestler, and so I would actually take them down and cut them. And cut them means let them up. So you're actually only getting 1 point at that point because you're getting 2 for the takedown,
1 for the escape,
and then they're getting 1 for the escape. So,
interesting.
Yeah.
How long is a wrestling match?
So in high school it's 3 2-minute periods, and then in college it's a 3-minute period and 2 2-minute periods. So 7 minutes.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, at my age, it's basically 5 minutes. 1 5-minute match.
Okay.
Scoring is a little bit. It's 2 for a takedown as well, and then it gets more into like the different versions of guard and passing the guard and all that stuff. But okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, I've never really understood how jiu-jitsu is scored.
So takedown is 2, and then there's the guard, right, which is talking about your legs.
Yeah.
So you have to pass. In layman's terms, you have to pass the legs. 3 points for doing that.
Okay.
And then you can go to a knee on the belly position, which is going to give you 2. You're going to have to hold that though. I think it's for 3 seconds. And if they bought, you know what I mean? Like, and the scoring, it's not like as soon as you pass somebody's guard, you're awarded those points. It's that and I'm sure it happens in wrestling too, where somebody will get to an advantageous position and it's like this fight, and then
Scramble.
The person accepts the position. That's when you're awarded the points.
Okay.
The conversation has to be over.
Yeah.
So it's 2 points for knee on belly, and then if you can get to mount, which is both of your knees on the ground, but they have to be below the armpit, that's 4. If they flip on their back and you get back mount, that's also 4. So they reward the most dominant positions with the highest amount of points, and then basically everything else is 2 points except for that pass.
Okay. Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, I've never even really watched jiu-jitsu matches. Obviously, I've watched MMA.
Yeah.
But that's scored completely different. It's all more like a boxing match.
Yeah, they're not keeping track.
Yeah,
of
they're not like scoring
points for
jiu-jitsu.
passing.
Right?
It's
Yeah.
it's
like a wrestling.
He's passed and punching you in the face.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, they're not keeping score. Well, I mean, I guess they are keeping score of the rounds, but it's not jiu-jitsu point based.
Yeah, and the wrestling I was talking about, the wrestling I just told you, there's a couple different styles of wrestling, right? So you have folk style, which is what I was just talking about, which
FOLK.
Yeah, folk style. Yep. And so that is high school, U.S. high school and collegiate wrestling, and then you have freestyle and Greco-Roman. So Greco is like all throws. You basically can't touch legs. Everything is upper body.
Can you trip?
No, you can't. Yeah, you can't use legs. It's basically throws.
Huh.
It's all throwing, and so you're like everything's upper body. And then freestyle is more like folk style, but the scoring's slightly different, and the point system is slightly different again as well. You actually can roll them through. So like if you're on your belly and I'm on your back, I could get like a gut wrench. So my arm's wrapped around your body, which you can't even do in folk style. You have to have a limb. You have to either have a leg or an arm.
Oh, really? Interesting.
To wrap your arms around them. And then freestyle, you can have that. And then if I just roll through, you're scoring points back. That's back exposure for freestyle. And then throws, you're awarded points. So if I get your feet over your head, that's a 5-point throw.
And a highlight reel.
For sure. 100%. A suplex, you know?
God, those hurt so bad.
Yes.
Huh. I think you would like jiu-jitsu. You'd be a pain in the ass.
I would be fun. I've thought about doing it. The only thing that for me is my knee. So I still don't have any ligaments in my left knee that I injured in years ago, and I got that surgery in 2019. The surgery in 2019 was just to realign the joint. So they basically went in and broke the leg and put a bunch of screws in to realign my joint. Yeah.
Jesus. Because
my knee was on the inside of the medial side of the knee, the inside of the knee, the bones were touching. And so they had to break it, shift that my tib fib up to basically realign that femur bone. And alleviate a ton of pain, which was great. But they didn't fix the ACL, PCL, and MCL were all still torn.
Are you going to go in and get those done?
The doc that I've been talking to, he's out here, or he's in Vail, Colorado, and he did that surgery. And he said he would, like, at first we were like, this is going to be a 2-part surgery. We're going to go in and we're going to do this high tibia osteotomy, which is what I just described. And then we're going to go in and we're going to fix the ligaments after that. After he did the high tibia osteotomy, he's like, we're going to see how you feel before we go back in and fix the ligaments, because if we go back in, it might cause a lot more stiffness than you'll want.
Huh.
So he's like, doing 2 surgeries that quick could cause that stiffness. So at this point, I'm not planning on it. But a high tibia osteotomy, if you like read about it online, it basically is a 10-year shelf life. And so,
really?
Yeah. So we'll see. And I'm at 2 years now, coming up on year 3. But I'm not. And like for me, I don't know. Like as long as I keep my legs strong enough, I think it's going to be all right. I mean, maybe at some point it might not. But
will you be like a knee replacement candidate?
Yeah, at some point, most likely. Hopefully not.
Fuck, man.
Yeah. But I have a ton of bone spurring in that knee. Just same as with the elbow.
How'd you injure your elbow?
I have no idea.
Literally, just one day?
One day it was, so I was telling the story the other day. I was doing like a bench tire flip workout. And
classic pairing.
Yeah, obviously. Classic. Classic. Push-pull, baby. Push-pull. And so I wake up the next morning and I had a super limited range of motion. Like my arm was like this. That was about a 2-inch range of motion. And I'm like, what the fuck? Like there was no moment where I felt, oh, I just injured myself. Being the smart guy that I am, I never went to a doctor. I never had it looked at.
Well, why would you? There's Google.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. There's WebMD, and that's pretty much tells everything.
That's so.
And it's
my doctorate.
And it's great. And so I went to my acupuncturist. I went to a chiro. I went to a like deep tissue guy, right, to try to get it. Because I thought it was muscular. I thought it was something muscular. I was like, oh, I just have swelling in my joint because something around it's sprained or torn or whatever, right? And nothing was seeming to work, and it was basically it just hits this wall, right? So like that, I mean that's the range of motion. It just stops.
Still?
Yeah, still, yeah. And so there's just tons of bone spurring in it. And he said, the doc that I ended up going in and getting it, he just went in and cleaned out the bone spurs. He said that most likely what happened was I just chipped off a bone spur that day, and it like really inflamed it. And so I'm like, where? Like there was never an injury, and so why is there even bone spurring in my elbow? Because bone spurring is like calcification of like inflammation. So
I mean, fuck, you were training so hard, man.
He's like, so there was just a time he's like where you did something to it, and you guess your pain tolerance is high enough to where you just didn't notice it, kind of thing.
Or I mean, when you were at the peak of your training, were you just kind of always sore?
Always.
That's what I'm saying. Like you might not even recognize when it would have happened because that was your baseline every day.
Yeah.
Feeling sore today.
Joints are stiff and muscles are tight. Got it. Weird.
Holy shit, man.
Yeah, it was crazy. And so I'm going to go try and have it cleaned out again because I didn't think the first surgeon did a good job. Like the experience with him wasn't the best experience. Like it took him 3 weeks. Like I never saw him after the surgery. Which is crazy.
Yeah, you think there'd be a follow-up really
immediately,
quickly.
Right? Yeah. Like, hey, the surgery went well. I think it did. I think we did a good job, or it didn't do a good job, or whatever. 3 weeks literally before I talked to the doctor at post surgery, which I thought was crazy because my knee surgery, I went up into the Stedman Clinic in Vail, which is like the world renowned orthopedic office, and the experience I had was like no other experience.
Yeah, the doc was probably in the recovery room with you when you woke up.
Right?
Yeah.
He had 5. He literally had like 5 team members who were literally only working on his patients. I would text with people, be like,
really,
hey, I'm feeling a little weird. Like, is this normal? Oh yeah, 100% normal, right? Like you're gonna feel that way, or man, I'm having like heart palpitations. Should I be having these heart palpitations?
Yes.
Yeah. You're well, you're at 8,000 feet. You just had surgery, so
have some of that Jello. Chill the fuck out.
Shut the fuck. Stop texting me.
Speaking of Colorado, you are a new resident.
I am. Yeah.
What was the reasoning behind this?
I just change. Not California. Taxes.
Quitter. I mean, I was born and raised there. I know exactly what you're talking about. There's a reason I left too.
I was a quitter for sure. I wanted to quit. I love California. I love San Diego. I think San Diego.
You lived in a great area too.
I did. Yeah. It was a little mesa. It was like a really centrally located, not a big house.
It's kind of like a tiny bedroom community too. Not that the bedrooms are tiny, but it's like a little pocket of normal residential area in what is the larger San Diego county.
Yeah, like super. Like I was 8 minutes from the airport, 8 minutes from the beach.
Yeah.
8 minutes from downtown. It was a cool spot. I just I kept the house. I still have it. I'm actually Airbnb-ing it. So it's a cool spot.
California charge you like 96% tax on that?
I think they take 105%, so it's good. It's fair. It's fair. And so I still have that house if I want to go back to it, and it's cool. But then I got out in Colorado. Colorado I thought was going to be slightly different, but
well, how'd you land on it?
It was just so me and my ex, we decided the boy's mom, we decided we wanted to move out of California together, and it was like obviously we're not together, we're divorced, and we wanted to get up and we didn't want to be in California anymore, and so we had to find a place that we both mutually agreed upon, and we had to it had to work for her work as well, because she still does like a position where she has to travel on the western side of the country, and so we couldn't go too far east.
Yeah.
And we both just decided Denver was a good spot. We liked the mountains, thought it was a cool spot for the kids to be raised in, and so a lot of stuff to do outdoors and things like that. And so that's really, it was nothing crazy, like we had a lot of, I have a good amount of friends there, which is awesome. And it was cool. It's a cool spot. I'm really enjoying it. It's like I'm close enough to the city, but I also still feel like I'm out in the country where I live. Like it's very you
can get out there and get lost as hell for sure.
Yeah, like I live in this little subdivision, and then all around it is like farmland. So I definitely, like when I'm driving there, it's like super dark, right? You don't have all the lights from everything. It's not like
the light pollution.
Yeah, it's cool. I have a great view of the mountains, and hour out, but not even an hour, like 30 minutes outside the mountains. I'm like 30 minutes outside of Boulder. So
okay,
25 minutes outside of Boulder.
Yeah, that's beautiful, man.
Yeah, it's cool. It's a cool area. So,
think you'll stay there long term, or what do you got planned?
I don't know if I'll stay there long term. I don't know what the future holds. If it's like forever, but right now I'm liking it. I'm enjoying it. I've always loved Montana. So
it doesn't suck. It's been rated 30 years in a row as the #1 state in the U.S.
Really?
No, I just made that up.
It's a little colder than I like up here. I don't have any friends up here, so
you definitely don't.
Definitely don't.
I feel like it's the exact same temperature as Colorado, depending on the day.
You know what it is right now in Denver? 60 degrees.
I don't think it's supposed to be 60.
No, I don't think it is either. But the whole week was supposed to be 60. I went and played golf the day before I got up here.
Yeah. Okay. So it's a little bit colder.
A little bit colder.
I'll give you that.
And it's sunnier there. Denver is actually the sunniest city in the United States.
I feel like you made that up too.
No, I did not. 100% fact. It's like 300 plus days of sunshine.
Okay, that's not bad.
Yeah, it's not rough.
The winter up here is traditionally, actually I forget what it looked like outside today. More often than not, it's not a marine layer, but there is a lower cloud layer. It grays people out a little bit.
Yeah.
And the sun, yesterday was the winter solstice. So I think the day was 37 minutes long.
I heard. Yeah, actually, yeah. I heard that.
But I mean, we're through it now.
Yeah.
We're on the other side.
Now it's 30 seconds longer today, right?
Correct.
So today we get 3 minutes and 30 seconds?
Something like that.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, it'll be... And then in summertime, you're laying in bed, you're like, we fucking go down, son. Goddamn 11:15 at night. It's like, God, I can't sleep when it's light out. No, it's been cool, man. The move up here, God.
You've been here for 4 years now?
4 and change. We crossed the border July 1st of 17. So 4.5 years.
Nice.
Yeah.
Boys are loving it. Your 18-year-old, is he going to college?
No, I tell you what, man, he's on an interesting path in life. I remember being his age. I'm very different than my kids. I was very different.
You're different than a lot of people.
Yes, that is true, and I think most people would say that. You're saying it negatively. I'm talking about it more.
All positive. All positive.
Now, I knew what I wanted to do super early. And I suspect a lot of people who went down the career path that we did fell into exactly the same place. My kids, all 3 of them, don't seem to have that level of decisiveness, which I'm totally supportive of. And my oldest is, he is navigating his way through life in a way that I wouldn't advocate that people do, but he has to figure it out on his own. So college might not be an option for him until much later in life.
Okay.
So
there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, I felt like I had a path where I went to college, I had a scholarship, and I dropped out after a year. Right, I had a full ride. Now I made the smart decision that, hey, why would I take this free ride to college and not have to pay for it ever again and get it done with when I could fucking leave and go into the business world, which is awesome.
And be a telemarketer.
Yeah, we've told this story. You're right. And so. Yeah, you never know, man. Maybe he just needs a couple years. It took me about 3 years of realizing I fucked up pretty hard, and then finding a different path.
Well, shit's different too. I mean, my kids, their ability to source knowledge from places external to traditional infrastructure, schools, like, it's unbelievable. The shit that they are able to figure out, to build, to be able to do. So I don't have any judgment of his path. I have a fucking huge amount of concern as his parent. But it's like, hey man, I get it. Like, the path that I went is not for most people on the face of the planet. So one, don't ever think that I compare you to me, because I don't. The path that you're on, like, I'll do the best. I don't necessarily understand the steps that you're taking, but I'll do what I can to help you.
Right. You're going to facilitate.
I'm going to try.
Yeah. As much as you can, right.
Parenting's fun. It's a good time.
Dude,
Everybody should have as many kids as possible.
100%. It is an interesting, I know, man. And every fucking little block is changing, and it's drastically changing, and you have to, like, learn to navigate it. Like, you have a great relationship with your dad, it seems like, right? Like, I didn't have a dad growing up. Like, my dad was everything I didn't really want to be. And so, like,
which can be a valuable lesson, though, in and of itself. And I bet you it shapes who you are as a parent.
Yeah, 100%. It does, exactly. Like, it's definitely been eye-opening for me, though, to realize how hard it is to be a parent, right? And like, it's easy to judge and say my parents,
especially when you're a kid.
Exactly.
You guys didn't follow the fucking manual.
Yeah.
Like, oh really?
Yeah.
Still waiting for that fucking PDF to show.
Haven't gotten that bad boy yet, but must have got fucking lost somewhere.
Yeah. The download is just still stuck. It's just that wheel. It hasn't finished.
Got back in a bad connection, motherfucker.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's been interesting for sure, to say the least. Yeah, like when they're kids, it's easy. They only have needs. They don't have wants, right? You want food and diaper change and to sleep. Yeah. And you're like, wait a minute, you want these other things now? And like, I'm supposed to provide them for you?
Yeah. Yeah, it's it is the ability to look back and the judgment you may have had of your parents. If you want a real slap in the face, have some kids of your own and stand the fuck by.
And when they tell you they hate you for the first time, you're like,
yeah.
You do?
And then you quietly say, I fucking hate you, dude. I love you so much.
You quietly pick them up from their neck.
Yeah.
Hey, pal.
Oh, man. How was it transitioning from the professional athlete, CrossFit, competing every year in the games, to what you built it to now? I mean, what's the trajectory looking like for you now? What are you doing?
Oh yes, so they have the coffee company that's going. That's cool. That's a fun little endeavor. You know, like it's just cool. It's just different. And it's hard. It's a real it's really hard to not try to train like an athlete still, right? Like I want to do.
It'll
that.
take you time.
Yeah, it's slowly adjusting. Like I said earlier, right? Like I'm not losing my mind if I don't get a real workout in. It's not a big deal. Like Sydney will be like, "Are you sure you don't want to work out today?" I'm like I'm not going to cause stress on our day because I need to go do a fucking, 10 power cleans right now. Like it's not that big of a deal. I'm not training for anything at the moment, besides
enjoyment of life.
Exactly. Besides just trying to be strong because
you're short.
Because I'm fucking short and I have to do something with my life. So
I've heard it said that if you're going to be short, you need to be strong.
That's a fact. It's dumb and short, right? If you're going to be dumb and short, you got to be strong.
I support that.
And I'm both. so I'm going to try to be as strong as I'm not even that strong. So, no, it's been an adjustment for sure. Like just learning that I don't have to have those workouts, and those are more just like so I am healthy, and so I am staying fit, and so I can still play with my kids and shit like that. But then navigating, I'm doing like selling online programming, which is really cool. It's actually really fun, and because. Like you knew you wanted to be a SEAL when you were a kid. I didn't know that. I wanted to be a professional athlete, and that's all I wanted. That's all I cared about. I cared about sports. Yeah. I was not into school whatsoever. I had decent grades, but I could have been a lot better at school. I just didn't give a fuck.
It's called staying off of academic probation.
Yeah, exactly. It's called I want to play I want to still be able to participate in the sport that
What is the minimum GPA required to be eligible for sports?
And so what does it take to get into this college? Yes, I will get that score.
Yes, I will get 0.01 higher than that.
Higher than that. And that's exactly what I did. And so, I just lost my train of thought completely. What were we talking about?
Transition from being an athlete.
Oh, yeah. And so I, now it's trying to do that's what I was talking about. I was talking about, so I'm selling the programming, right? And basically what I sell is like how I prepared for buds. Because I get asked daily, which I'm sure, I'm sure you do too, right? Like, how did you prepare to go into it? And I think it's all of our experiences.
Who did you ask when you were in their spot?
I didn't have anybody.
Neither did I. Those fucking
privileged
little bitches.
Little fucking assholes.
So I just write back, here's how you train. You go fuck yourself.
Good luck, asshole.
And it's the opposite of the Hunger Games. Yeah. The odds are not in your favor.
You quit now, avoid the rush.
Yeah. I mean, like, just embrace the shame now.
Yeah.
Give up now. And then you just don't have to, it doesn't have to hurt.
Let me tell you how you train for going to buds. You find a bell and you ring it 3 times over and over again.
Get used to it. Wake up every morning.
As often as you can.
Step 1, source the bell. Step 2, mount it near your bed. Step 3, ring it every morning.
Step 4, jump off the bridge.
Yeah. It's probably
I'm gonna say it's probably
30 to 40% of the messages that I receive.
And so for me, every CrossFit athlete comes out and they start selling their programming, right? How they train, and they deserve that right? Like this is how you prepared, and you want to be able to share those experiences with people. And hey, man, if people want to pay for it, great. If you built that brand, and I offer that too. I offer my CrossFit style programming. But the big thing for me is the military, right? This is how I prepared. This is how I trained to go into the military. And I talk to a lot of these kids, right? And I keep them, I don't know if I'd say a mentor is the right word, but I give them any advice that I can.
Yeah,
right?
Same here. Legitimately, I do. I mean,
yeah.
People, it's interesting because people will say, dude, you're giving away all the secrets. Don't worry. The curriculum will do its job.
Exactly. Yeah, it doesn't matter. Like you can the best. You were a buds instructor, so you saw it firsthand. I saw it just as a student, where the kids that you thought for sure.
Oh yeah.
You're like, this motherfucker. He's a beast. Like this dude's gonna get through it. Day 2, ding ding ding. Yeah.
Or the people who will go online and they'll research. I actually tell people, like, you can probably find a schedule for every day of buds online. Right. And let me just tell you, your odds are better of graduating if you don't look at it.
100%.
Because you could come there knowing what evolution is next, and it's probably actually going to fuck you up more than just dealing with the evolution that you are in. And don't confuse knowing about what's coming next with being able to do what's coming next.
100%. Or my favorite is the people who just think that, getting the upper body as strong as possible, being able to do 1,000 pull-ups. I'm like, you think anybody gives a fuck how many pull-ups you can do? As long as you can do 8, which I think is the minimum, probably around there, 7 or 8. I think
it is actually the minimum.
Yeah, it's super low. I'm like, but if you can't fucking run for days, you can't carry a little bit of weight while you're running. Yeah. Like strong legs. I sit there and preach it all the time. Like, dude, you better fucking have the strongest leg you can have.
I mean, last I checked, we are a biped, so it's probably a good idea.
Yeah. Right. So yeah, it's that's cool. Like, sharing those experiences and having that with those kids that are trying to come in, and they're not even going to buds. A lot of them are going to like SF, or they want to be a police officer or a firefighter, any of those positions.
Very broadly applicable for that.
Yeah, they're all the same. I'm like, we'll just take out the swim workouts that I put in there and turn them into running workouts or rucking workouts or whatever the fuck it can.
Yeah.
For
whatever that selection course may lean a little bit more heavily on.
Yeah, right. You don't have swimming; it's not a big deal. You don't need to be a swimmer. Where I actually think swimming is still a great tool for your fitness, right? Because now you not only have to control your mind, but your breathing too, right? It brings breathing into play, which I think is huge.
Yeah.
Taking out
it's all fun and games when you can breathe when you want.
Taking out your oxygen source is a game changer.
Yeah, again, I saw that time and time again.
And not only that, I think it helps mentally, right? Like it's very easy to panic when you don't have oxygen.
Oh, for sure.
When someone slips their arm around your neck at jiu-jitsu,
yeah,
and you slowly,
you just freak out.
like in the pool comp.
It's a little bit different.
Yeah.
Because what's the thing about blood chokes is you can still breathe and they don't hurt.
Ooh.
So like a rear naked choke, you can breathe just fine. It's just cutting the carotids off.
Yeah, yeah.
You just breathe and you're just like...
Tunnel vision, little tunnel vision.
Yeah, I've seen a few people go out. It's pretty... I actually wasn't there for this, but this guy got choked. And again, it doesn't hurt. It's just this blood choke and you fade off. And he woke up and he had an entire dream about getting choked out and being too late to tap. And he came to and was telling the guy about he's like, dude, you're not going to believe what just happened. And he's like, yeah, you were just unconscious and had that dream.
Yes.
He's like, no fuck away. He's like, no, because you don't actually realize that you go out.
Yeah, it's crazy. I played rugby my 3 years before I joined the military. For 3 years before I joined the military. My last game I played in, I was running down and I went to tackle this guy and I literally knocked out unconscious for like 2 minutes. But until very recently, I remember those dreams that I had.
While you were vision questing?
While I was vision questing. It was crazy. It was nuts. It's interesting.
Yeah. Do you still go to the CrossFit events? Do you stay connected to that world?
Yeah, I am. I'm still connected to the CrossFit world. I typically do go to the CrossFit Games every year. Like this past year, CrossFit was a sponsor of the boxing match, and so so we went and did this.
Did you win that match?
No, I did not.
Fuck you.
I know. I agree. I don't think the judging was all that great. I mean, I was a victim, to be 100%.
That's fair. As far as the mentalities to approach life with, that's a good one.
I think it is, right? I think I was definitely...
How many, were you guys actually trying to knock each other's heads off?
Oh, for 100%.
How many rounds did you do?
6 3-minute rounds, and doesn't sound like that many.
Oh, it is though.
But it is.
I challenge anybody to go out and do 1 3-minute rounds.
I challenge anybody to go hit a punching bag for 6 3-minute rounds with 1 minute rest in between there, and see how long it feels. See how long you last. Yeah. It's absolutely insane how long 3 minutes is when you're standing there punching a punching bag. It's crazy. And
then take that into the headspace of, I'm not going to train at all, and I'm just going to be a game time player on the street.
Big game time
player. You're going to be a fucking power bomb. Yeah. That's what you're going to be. You're going to be gassed in like 15 fucking seconds.
And then you're going to be unconscious laying on the ground, face down.
Indeed.
It was... I do stay connected with the CrossFit world with that, and I still I watch the competitions. I still have friends that are doing it, and so it's fun to watch those people, and it's a lot less stressful though. I'll tell you that. And it's a lot more fun not training to compete in them. That's for sure. I love CrossFit. I still do CrossFit, right? I still believe in the ideology, and I still work out pretty hard. It just the volume is so much lower, so it's nice.
Yeah, but the quality of life is so much higher.
So much higher.
When you were talking about that volume, I meant to ask you, where would you take vacation during that time period? How did you...
I didn't.
I was going to say,
I didn't go anywhere, ever. I didn't leave my house barely.
That's the only thing that I worry about kids starting this in their early teens is the sacrificing life experience for stardom in the CrossFit world. And I totally get it. And I'm not saying it negatively because I guarantee you I sacrificed life experience to go down the path that we went down. I don't know. I just hope that they get it though.
I hope that they can turn it off because that was my hardest thing. I mean, we would finish the CrossFit Games season and there was never any downtime. I would literally take maybe 2 days off after the CrossFit Games and I would go right back into training again. That's insane. Pretty much 100%. And
I'm sure you were fully like rested and recovered though.
100%, man. I felt like a new man. I just like it was an addiction. 100%. It was an addiction and I loved it. And to be honest, at the time I didn't consider it a sacrifice. I loved what I was doing. I enjoyed it 100%. Like when I started training to go into the military, the same thing, man. I had that mindset where it was like nothing was going to fucking stop me, and anything that didn't put me in the right direction or wasn't giving me an advantage or serving a purpose for that fucking goal was cut away, and it wasn't a sacrifice. It was like this is what I want. So me not going to bars, me not going out on vacations wasn't a sacrifice. It wasn't where I wanted to be because it was serving me no purpose at that time.
Well, it was also what you were doing was paying the bills as well. So
yeah, exactly.
If it's going to be a JOB, you should probably treat it like a JOB.
Fact, 100%. And I think you know that, right? Like, and everything that men like us or people like us, like, when you dive into something, it's what? It's a fucking 1,000%. And
which has its downsides.
It does.
Pay attention, people. Yeah. It may allow you to do things that other people don't understand. However, it's there's a downside too.
There's downsides. There's good sides and bad. Exactly. Like, yeah, I don't have quite as many friends as I used to have. You know what I mean? It's fucking because I didn't care. I didn't give a shit. Like, if you didn't want to come over and train with me, what the fuck purpose did you serve in my life? You know, like, oh, you want to go party? No, sorry, pal. Like that doesn't do anything for me. Like,
agreed.
So it was interesting. Yeah, it was an interesting, 12 years of my life, and I would never go back and change it for a second because I loved every part of it, man. Like, it was
a long fucking run, man. 12 years of that volume and intensity.
It was crazy. It really was.
How do you think you'll be at 60?
I mean, how good I felt after 6 months of not lifting, I was really happy.
Okay.
And I still maintain the strength. Like, man, I'll come back now and every once in a while I'll just do something stupid just to, like, ego, right? Little ego comes into play, and let me pick up this dumbbell to see if I can still snatch this 120-pound dumbbell over my head. Yeah. And you can, but I still feel really good. You know what I mean? Like, and so I think once you back off that volume, it helps. I don't know, 60, maybe it'll come back and haunt me a little bit, but
dude, I'll wheel you around in a wheelchair.
You're a good dude. I know you were.
Yeah, I'm like into traffic. I'll like put one wheel up on the curve and the other one's down. Like, I'll wheel you wherever the fuck I want to take you.
You're a good fucking dude. You're a good dude, man.
Where can people find the coffee? Is it mostly just
it's all online? Yeah, online, and then Rogue sells it as well. But yeah, gooddudescoffee.com. I'll get you some, bro.
How big do you want to go with that shit?
I don't know, man. I don't have like I mean, bigger, right? Yeah. I think it's cool. I love the process of it. You know, how I got into it was like anything else I got into almost kind of by accident.
Well, you were a coffee nerd yourself.
Yeah. So that's what happened, right? So I was a coffee nerd in Iraq, but I wasn't. I was a very novice coffee nerd where I thought I knew a little bit, but I didn't know shit, right? I didn't know enough to where I ordered unroasted coffee beans in Iraq. I got them shipped over there, and then I had to buy a roaster. I literally had like this little hand roaster fucking shipped over to Iraq, and that's literally where I got into it. It's kind of funny. I was like roasting, and I was in Fallujah in 2010, not Fallujah that you probably know, or it was 2010 Fallujah, super low key. But
I visited a few times.
Yeah, I could see that. I'm sure you had. Yeah, it was like we had a trailer, and I had my own trailer, and I started roasting coffee in my trailer over there.
Oh, in a Connex?
No, it was a real trailer. We had a fucking trailer park on our base. I was on Camp Dreamland.
That wasn't the actual name, was it?
It might have been. Yeah, because it was where one of Uday Akuse, the big lake.
Yep.
Yeah, the Dreamland, right?
Maybe it was.
Yeah.
I tend to erase names like that.
Yeah.
It should be much more negative.
Yeah, for sure.
Like Camp Emotional Destruction. You know?
100%.
Something just constantly negative that's just weighing on you in the back of your psyche.
Yeah. Yeah, they drained that lake and they found like thousands of bodies in there, and then a couple of my buddies.
I mean, dude, you probably went to the Swords in Baghdad where they would do all the parades, and there's all the helmets that they used as speed bumps, all of which with a single bullet hole in them. Yeah, that there's a difference in respect for life. I think that's the easiest way to describe some of the cultural differences. There's just a difference.
You literally took the words out of my mouth. I was explaining this to someone last night. Like, they just, the exact words you just used were, came out of my mouth. It's like the respect for life. Like, it's just different.
Yeah, hard to describe for sure. Mm. What else are you working on besides the coffee and the programming?
Yeah, so coffee programming. I still have sponsors, man. I still have like you do for this podcast, right? I still have people who want to sponsor me, so I'm helping with those programs and trying to help grow those brands that I resonate with and appreciate, right? That like they want me to wear their shit or eat their stuff. And
it's interesting, right?
Yeah, it's weird,
dude. If you had asked me a few years from getting out of the military, like, hey Andy, like, just so you know, we want to. Whatever you're doing, we want to just be involved with it. We want you to be an ambassador. Like, get the fuck out of here.
Right.
I'm like,
what's your angle, bro?
Yeah, that's the dumbest shit I've ever heard. Yeah. I don't want to be involved with you guys, even though I spend the vast majority of my paycheck buying your guys' shit. I don't want it for free. Right? I'll buy it because I want to, not because you guys want me to wear it.
And I'll never talk about it, but I'll wear it and rock it and tell other people about it that I don't know.
It's crazy. Yeah. I never would have guessed in a million years that I would have any level of involvement with brands at like an ambassador level. Yeah. But it's cool.
You're an influencer, bro.
You are an influencer. No, your platform is actually large.
You are an influencer.
Mine is just big enough to irritate people with the dumb shit that I say. As you know, because I've been known to say dumb shit.
No, I don't believe it for a second. Sounds made up.
You are the influencer.
I'm not an influencer.
You'll be over the 1 million mark here soon. I haven't stalked your profile.
No, I'm for some reason Instagram doesn't like me. I don't even have a blue check mark. I'm not even that cool, man.
You know what's weird about Instagram is you watch people, they go on like a rapid rise, and then for some reason there's like this glass ceiling, and I'm very curious. It's kind of happened with Jocko.
Yeah. That's a bummer because Jocko's fucking put out awesome shit.
And the message he's putting out is awesome, and he like hit 2.2 million, which is like this. I try to
astronomical.
I equate everything to like the baseball stadium in San Diego, right? Like 75, 80,000, just to give myself like a reference of how many people that
50,000 probably.
Fuck.
Baseball stadium's about 50.
Listen, this is my analogy.
I don't care.
All right, so that baseball stadium which holds 100,000 for easier math.
I think there's only one or two or three stadiums that hold 100,000. They're college football stadiums.
Yeah, and the San Diego Petco Park.
Oh, sorry.
But it's you think about that number of people, and I was watching that too. I couldn't have been happier to see that because fuck, the message that he's putting out is not based in like hate or judgment. I mean,
or pounding his chest, telling I'm awesome.
I mean, his message is in hate and judgment based on oneself, right? But no, like discipline and integrity and looking in the fucking mirror and like, how could you not want that message? And it was like Elon Musk rocket ship, and then doink. Yeah. And it's not like it's coming down, but like, why does that all of a sudden stop?
It's weird. Yeah, I saw mine a couple of years ago, just slowly like. I would have this. My following would just grow and grow and grow, right? And all of a sudden it just like stopped, and now it's actually slowly coming down. Really? Because there's like a ban, like there's some sort of ban on it or something. I don't know why. Like I don't ever get political whatsoever on my like I have no idea, and I don't know like, and I can't get a check mark, which like every CrossFit Games athlete that's went at least one time.
Dude, I have a check mark.
Exactly. Yeah. So yours awesome though.
That's not actually true.
Well, you've been on Joe Rogan too. I mean, you're cool, man. I'm not cool.
I'm going back on there shortly.
Oh, shit?
Yeah.
That's cool, man.
This episode will come out in January.
Nice.
I'm not going to tell people exactly when, but it's in January.
I'm going to guess it has something to do with coffee.
No.
No? Okay, good.
I'm just going to go there and fuck shit up. Say dumb shit.
Austin's a cool town, though.
It is a cool town.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be good. I've learned my lesson since the first time on Joe, when I said we should kill everybody in Guantanamo. I didn't realize that his audience was as big as it was. Cool. Not that it changes my opinion on... People can go back and research.
Speak your opinions.
I still will, but I figured out maybe a better way to get to the end state.
It's always that. There's always that.
Yeah, I had never listened to a podcast before I was on his the first time. That was a mistake. That was a tactical error.
Nice,
solid. I didn't understand the.
Look at you now, man. What episode are you on? What episode is this going to be? You do the Friday Q&As. I listened to them, man. Yeah. They're good. Last week's was heavy.
Oh, dude, yeah, with the
That first one?
molestation,
Ooh.
and then the dude just getting fully just cucked by his fucking...
Yeah.
It's like, hickory dickory dock, your wife's out sampling cock, dude. I mean, I should have gone with a rhyme on that one for sure. Let's see, this Monday was 212, 213, it'll be 214.
Nice, man. I kind of started to open. I did a podcast. I got like 6 or 7 episodes in, and it's just hard to schedule it. Yeah, it's like it's got to be like a full-time gig if you really want to do it and like get into it.
I have like 6 or 7 lined up. I mean, usually I have like 3 to 4 lined up, and then sometimes it'll get to scheduling your travel where it's like, hey, I'll record on Friday, and that sucker's coming out on Monday.
Yeah. Are you traveling a lot now?
As little as possible. I'm actually saying no to far more things than I say yes to. I hate fucking traveling.
Dude, me too.
I didn't realize it because I was traveling so much.
Yeah. And you were coming out of San Diego, which is a super convenient, super easy airport. And now I'm sure this is a little bit different.
Not actually that bad. Because most of the time from San Diego, it would be to Salt Lake and then connect to the rest of the world. From here, it's Kalispell to Salt Lake and exactly the same thing.
Yeah, and Kalispell here is a, 50-minute flight maybe?
Yeah, and there's 4 to 5 choices per day. I usually fly on Delta. Yeah. So it hasn't really limited me.
That's good.
It's an international airport, bro. They fly to Canada. Okay?
No, yeah. You know, the first time I came to Montana, I flew into Kalispell. In 2015.
Yeah, you're welcome.
I know.
Yeah. Yeah, they call it Glacier Park International because I think there's one flight to Canada. Well, we got to get you back to your...
This time, yeah.
It's close enough.
Yeah, for sure.
It's always better to be early than late.
You're a fact, especially when you know.
Indeed. What do you want to close it out with, man? First off, it's awesome.
Man, it's so great to see you.
How small of a world, right?
Yeah, Montana. I was actually, I was thinking this other, I'm like, how the fuck is Montana the place that's bringing me and Andy back together?
Seriously.
But I'm super stoked that you're up here, and I'm going to be up here a lot more now. So we don't have to do these podcasts because I'm not that interesting.
So where I live, Missoula is like 90 south from where I live. I can hop in the car. You guys are always welcome to come up, man.
Yeah, man. If you ever want to come down to Denver, man, I mean, there's, I know you guys doing snowboarding and stuff up here?
Yes.
Skiing? Mm-hmm. Dude. We got some pretty cool stuff down there too. So
I mean, it's average, a little below.
Slightly below average, but it's all right. But yeah, and I got there's some good hotels around me, so you know.
Perfect. Yeah, I would probably just be a
no places to stay at my house.
I'll sleep on the street. It's fine.
I went from San Diego, this tiny ass like shed of a house, to this pretty stupid house in Denver.
Getting out of California is an eye-opening experience.
It really
For people who want to live there, enjoy it. I get the weather.
Yeah.
The quality of life can be amazing, probably depending on where you're living, but I've gone back and visited more LA County than San Diego County recently. Fuck.
I do not like LA. I never have.
Yeah. See, she's trying to get in.
Yep.
You guys close it up. Best place for people to find you.
Josh-bridges.com or gooddudescoffee.com. Appreciate it, man. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, of course.
It's great to see you.
All right, bud.
That's it, everybody. Thank you for tuning in. There will continue to be some changes for the podcast going into 2022. But for now, if you want to support the podcast, do me a favor, go to the podcast store and check out the blend of Black Rifle coffee that they made for me. It's my favorite blend, actually, out of all that they make. Of course, I'm slightly biased, but I enjoy it. You can find it directly at shop.clearhutpodcast.com. And then that's it for today. We'll start off slow. See you guys Friday.